Welcome back to the Interior Analysis Podcast. I am your host for this episode, Jelani Kelly.
And I'm Evan Westman.
We here to talk about Avatar Season 2. If you can tell by the title of the episode, Evan finished this pretty recently. It's been a couple of days. Alright, I want to start you off with anything you want to say.
Initial things, Appa is still the MVP, but Toph is competing. Toph was the best thing about this season. I'll save more of that for later, but that has to be said from the outset.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, a lot better than Season 1. No shade to Season 1, but, it was even better.
I don't think Season 1's going to be offended.
Season 1 has a lot to show for it, but the finale of it, I was hoping for a little bit more. It wasn't, disappointing exactly. I don't know what I was expecting.
For Season 1?
No, for Season 2, the finale. Yeah, I don't know what I was expecting for it. I kind of wanted more from it, but, on the whole, I was not disappointed at all by this season. It only exceeded my expectations. A couple things that, just for the show in general that I noticed a little more or that were continued for this that I thought were really good. I think I mentioned this with Season 1, but I still really like the way that they're balancing the main cast with each of the episodes where, everyone kind of gets their own episode where they're kind of the lead and there's a little more attention on them, and a few others where they kind of take the back seat.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that, all the characters in some episodes, they're right, in some episodes, they're wrong, in, whatever the central argument of that particular episode is, they all have a different opinion on it, and sometimes you can predict who will, but not because of who's saying it. It's always occasionally Sokka is taking the right direction with it, sometimes it's Toph, sometimes it's Katara, and I still really appreciate that. I think it makes for good drama, even if it's simplified for a kid's show. Still a really good choice. And then I really liked the way that they kept on separating the couple of the three main subgroups and bringing them back together in a few big episodes. There'd be a couple where they'd be apart and then they'd crash into each other a few times throughout the season. Mm-hmm. That was something that I really enjoyed about this season.
The drill.
What was it? Oh, the drill. Yes.
Mm-hmm. The drill, the chase, and probably skipping over another one in there, but the crossroads.
I think there is another one in there. And there was some of that in Season 1, but we didn't have the Fire Nation trio,
mm-hmm.
So it didn't really feel the same. That was one of the best things about this season. I have two questions for you. One is just kind of factual. Can Appa airbend? Because in that episode where he's on his own, the way he was fighting back against some of the people who captured him, it kind of seemed like airbending. So, is that what he's doing, or is it something else?
I would assume he's airbending. I think I thought about this as a kid, but then completely forgot about it now. I mean, they call them sky bisons, so I would assume he's, manipulating air currents under him in order to do the flying thing, kind of like how Aang does with his glider, but he's just doing it with his big old body.
Yeah, it would make sense. I mean, of course, he's not built like a human, so he can't do the same, motions, but...
He don't have wings or anything.
Right, so it's not as if... But he has, he kind of uses his tail a little bit. He,
get off the ground.
He, flaps his tail and, it causes a big breeze or whatever.
That could also just be physics, arguably, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that was how I took it in a lot of Season 1, but until this one where we saw him, he does things that seem more like airbending than just, normal motion, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I was curious about that, and now I'm wondering, are there other animals that can do bending-like things? And my second question, this one's a little bit bigger. Why is this a kid's show? I don't think it's bad that it is. It doesn't feel like the obvious choice. I don't want to say it feels too good to be a kid's show, but if you're coming up with a story like this, I don't think kid's show is the first genre that comes to mind.
I guess the important question at the time for them was, where would you put a show like this if it wasn't a kid's show?
I mean, Adult Swim is kind of a place where you could do that, and because like I was thinking also, production budget. Of course, the budget for
Yeah.
doing something like this in live action would be huge, or it would be low and look terrible.
Hmm.
But Adult Swim has animated adult shows.
Maybe there was something in the deal where Nickelodeon offered them more, or they were already working for Nickelodeon. It could have been something with the actual channels. Because isn't Adult Swim connected to Cartoon Network in some way? Because it's always on the same channel. It has to be, right?
I don't know anything about that. I was just wondering that because, again, I think it's good that it's a kids show. Like, I think it works well as that. Like, it's something that kind of in like the vein of Pixar. It's like it's a great story and has like some nuance to it, but kids could absolutely enjoy it and find it accessible in some of the same way as adult viewers would. But
You saying make it like TV-14 or something?
no, I'm not saying they should have like up to the rating. I'm surprised that their instinct was to market this to kids.
Mm.
Just when you're like coming up with this kind of story, because like I don't know if it would lend itself as like an adult TV show, but
Hmm.
it does feel more like it would be one of those things where it starts off as a YA series of books and then they turn it into a show later. That kind of felt more like the genre I would initially, with this kind of premise, fit that into.
Yeah, I would also say, well, no shade to Adult Swim, but I wouldn't say a crazy amount of shows have come from there, like directly from their channel, besides like a few, like Rick and Morty, like that became really popular, and that was recent.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are like the more non super popular ones I've never even watched, like Aqua Team Hunger Force and Super Jail and all sorts of other stuff that
I've never
came
even heard of
directly.
those.
Yeah, that came directly from that. I think the Boondocks was on there too.
That sounds right.
Yeah, the Boondocks was also in an anime style, and that became pretty damn popular, especially when I was like in high school.
Yeah, I'm wondering if maybe it was a timing thing because I know most
Yeah.
Adult Swim shows are comedies,
Hmm.
and they're starting to get away with that. I feel like the Samurai Jack guy, I'm not gonna try to say his name. He made a show this past year, I think, called Primal.
Oh
I
yeah,
think that was
Primal.
it, and that's
Hmm.
like I didn't watch it, but it seemed tonally like that was, like
Serious.
yeah, more like Samurai Jack than like
Hmm.
Family Guy or whatever. But
Yeah.
of course, that's 2019, and this came out in '05, so that would have been probably kind of off brand for
Yeah.
Adult Swim at the time. I don't know anything about like the networking deal, of course. I'm still a little bit surprised that this was a kid's show. Not a bad thing, just surprising.
Yeah, I guess the genre thing isn't. I didn't even think about that. That's important to take into consideration that pretty much all of the Adult Swim shows were comedies. I mean, this show is action comedy, so
Well, it's like
but it's not.
kids comedy though.
Yeah, and it's not like a super focus on comedy. It has its moments
Yeah,
in
but
there.
they're totally extraneous. Like
Yeah.
they're never building. It's not like a situational comedy where they're building two jokes. They're building
Hmm.
around like the more epic story moments
Hmm.
instead of just fun things.
Yeah. Favorite character so far?
Absolutely tough.
Not Appa?
Nope, nope. And Zuko and Katara, they're still good. They don't compete. Toph is number one unequivocally.
I mean, I agree. I said in this season not Zuko for me, but mainly because of the decision he makes at the end. Definitely Toph. But I want to get into why you chose Toph later.
I definitely will. Like I have probably more to say on Toph than any of the other characters this season.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay. And your favorite season 2 episode?
Well, I mean that would fall under favorite episode so far overall.
Okay.
My top two, though, the back-to-back of Serpent's Pass and The Drill. I really enjoyed both of them for different reasons. The Serpent's Pass one I thought was like really good thematically. I really liked the way it dealt with like Aang still having like that grief over losing Appa for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that had happened maybe 2 episodes before, and sometimes when something like that happens in a story, sometimes there's an instinct for people to deal with it for like the next chapter, installment, episode, whatever, and then kind of act like it's not a thing anymore. And I really appreciate that Aang does not get over losing Appa until they get him back.
I mean, with how much he talked about Appa in the desert episode, I mean, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I didn't realize that he talked that much about Appa during that episode. All I heard, everything out of his mouth was relating to Appa that entire episode. And I was like, bro, you lost your pet, your friend, I get it. But oh my God, if you don't help them get out the freaking desert, like he's over there like, would getting out of the desert help us find Appa? Yes, it would, because you wouldn't be in the desert.
Because they don't know where he is. Because leaving the
It'd
desert
be
might
better.
take them further away, for all they know.
Yes, sure, but like, bro, I was so mad at him that episode. It was almost to a fault how much he talked about Appa. That's like, it kind of felt like when a character has like a single shtick in like a comedy show or something, and they just do that one thing over and over, like Magnitude from Community.
Oh, you gotta love Magnitude.
Well, I've loved Magnitude. Bad example, but I'm saying like, dude.
I totally get that, because I actually felt a little bit annoyed with it for a bit too. But then I kind of took a step back with it and remembered like, Appa is really his one tie to his life before this show, the 100 years ago.
What about his glider?
I mean, you can't compare those two, though.
Sorry.
I know you're not being serious, but like, but really, like, Appa is really the only companion he has had in both stages of his life. So I can see how that would be something that it wouldn't be the same even as losing Sokka or Katara. Not that that wouldn't be traumatic.
Oh my God. Can you imagine he chose between Sokka and Katara or Appa, and he's like, well, I'm going with the Sky Bison. Sorry, guys.
No, I'm not saying that would be the choice. I'm just saying like it would hit differently for him. And with Appa, it's kind of like, not that he doesn't value any of the other characters, but Appa, I feel like probably is sort of like home base for him. Because he's kind of the one constant throughout his whole life.
Appa's also like a moving home for them.
Yes, he's still the MVP.
He's a mobile home that can fly and eats.
Yeah. Well, to bring it back to your original question of like favorite episode, I still really liked Aang's. It wasn't an arc, but like his few character moments in that. Katara has the line to him, like, because he's kind of like shutting off emotionally in that one, and she says, "You have to promise me that you won't stop caring." And I think that is like, I'd never really thought about it, but that is kind of central to his role as the Avatar. That he's gonna have to deal with a lot of things. This is one of them. It's not the first, it's not going to be the last, but she's like, it's okay to feel these things, but we need you to care, because like, you're going to have to be invested in all sorts of world issues, whatever.
Yeah.
I really appreciated that. Also, there were some other like fun things in that. That was the one when Jet came back, which at the time I really liked. And also, I told you waterbenders could surf. And that happened in that one when Katara's fighting.
You were speculating. You didn't tell me.
I mean, I don't remember exactly what you said, but you were kind of like, oh, well, how would they do that? Obviously, like, I knew you. I know you already knew that, but anyway.
No, I completely forgot. I don't even. What's a firebender? I don't know.
Yeah, but then my other favorite, The Drill. This one was just like the best of this show's action all at once. Like,
Oh,
this was
yeah.
like Mad Max Fury Road level action, which
Yeah.
is like some of the highest praise I could give it. Like, 20 minutes straight action scene, and it was just like so great. All the bending was full force.
We got to
And
stop this drill. Everybody kill each other.
I mean, yeah, it was kind of one note, but like sometimes I really appreciate that. Like, there's a couple Game of Thrones episodes, and those are much longer, but they take like, a lot of times they'll do kind of like this show does and do like, bounce between each of their characters, and they have a lot more to balance. But then there's like 2 or 3 episodes in that show where they take one episode and it's all with the same group. Usually it's a battle, I think. And those are some of the best ones. That was how the drill felt for me in this one. Like, and I was surprised that I liked it so much too, because in recent years, I've kind of been less excited by action scenes than I used to be, just in general. And this show is like, the action in this show is insanely good. And I never would have expected that from a kid's show. The drill was my favorite of that. I'm definitely going to rewatch both those 2 episodes at some point.
Just rewatch the whole series while you're at it.
I may do that too, but like those episodes, like if I don't want to commit the time, I know those are 2 that I'm going to return to.
I'm not understanding your phrase, don't commit the time to Avatar. That doesn't compute with my brain. I don't know what that means, Evan.
Am I not committing time to it?
I don't get it, Evan. You gotta at least watch Avatar 10 times over after your first watch. Like, back to back.
We might be waiting a long time for that.
Back to back, Evan.
I mean, I'm going to rewatch it for sure. Like, I really enjoy this show.
Stare at the TV for a good few days.
Yeah, I ain't got time for that. Did you want to talk about your favorite in this too?
Yeah, the chase. The chase was the best one for me. I remember that specific episode coming on air a lot growing up. Like, they wouldn't show any other season or episode for a while, but whenever I'd catch the chase, I'd normally end up catching the rest of the show, like to its finale. The show would be airing from the beginning, and it'd have that few hour block on TV after school at some point, and then it'd go off, and then it'd continue the next day up until it finally got to the chase, and then I caught the chase. Like, say I didn't have a whole lot of homework to do or wasn't doing my homework. I'd catch the chase on TV, then, I'd end up actually following the show to its finale. But I'd always watch it. And my brother and I found the particular part of the lizard scurrying across the lake. Like, I don't know if you know what the Jesus lizard is. That's that lizard.
I feel like I've learned about that. It's got the, like, it's that, I'm trying to think of the science concept. Something tension, surface tension. Yeah, that's it.
Where I've seen that slow motion clip of that lizard running across the water so many times. But when the lizard scurried across the lake, my brother and I found that particular part so hilarious because it looks so damn goofy, and you're not expecting it.
I'm remembering that now, and and
you're not expecting it either. Like, Katara and Sokka are hugging each other, thinking they're safe for crossing the lake, and I'm like, first of all, that river doesn't even look that bad. Like, that looks like they could swim across it. 2, Katara could have also waterbent, like, them out of it if they tried to swim. And then 2, like, the fact that Ty Lee and Mai didn't stop their lizards, like, they seem to already know what they could do because they didn't slow down or hesitate in the slightest, and their lizards just did a full wheelie like they were on a damn motorcycle across the lake. And then the fact that I felt for the characters the entire episode for them being tired. Oh, man. Like, you saw it, well, they drew it under their eyes and all that, and I'm like, yo, man, I need some sleep right now. It could be in the middle of the afternoon, and I'm like, I'm so tired like them right now, right?
Yeah, and I'll just say, like, that, again, wasn't my favorite of the season, but at the time that I saw it, I did write down, this is the best one so far. Mm-hmm. So it got surpassed, but, like, it's still probably top 4 for me right now.
And then the stuff with everybody meeting at the end, and then Iroh almost getting killed.
Oh, right. Oh, my God. I was so upset when that happened.
Yeah.
I really thought he was dead, too.
Yeah.
I forgot that was that episode.
That would
Ooh,
have been a way to
that
go.
was huge.
They kind of hid Jet's death, and we'll get into that too. But Iroh, if they would have killed him like that, that would have been pretty traumatizing. Like, oh my god, this
And it was so sudden.
14-year-old girl just killed her uncle in cold blood. Like, bro, what?
I mean, Game of Thrones eats that for breakfast, but
That's
also
also
a very
mature.
different
Yeah,
show.
it's a mature show. This was a kid show, Evan. This was youth 7 and up kind of rating.
I know, like, I don't. Again, I'm not very familiar with kid shows, but like, that seems like it should level it up. Of course, he doesn't actually die, but I thought he did. It doesn't tell you he didn't until
Right.
the next episode.
And then Zuko, I don't understand how Azula did the disappearing act thing when they all bent at her at the same time. Also with Toph in that scene, I think I looked back at it a few times as a kid. It looked like she was just shooting dust at Azula. Like Aang was shooting air, Katara was shooting water, Zuko was shooting fire, and then I think Toph was just holding out her fist and shooting dust because Earth doesn't flow like, unless it's mud, Earth doesn't flow like the other elements. So. But yeah, best episode. I don't think I have any more to say on that. Like, I've kind of felt bad for Zuko in that moment. But the fact that Katara was like, Zuko, I could help, and he just told him to F off, I was like, I know you're upset, but if she just, healed him, like, he could have been better off. I mean, he was fine after anyway, but like,
Yeah.
dude, your uncle, you don't even know if he's living right now, and she's saying she could help, but you telling her to leave, like.
I mean, there's still some bad blood between them, which is why I was able to I felt the same way too. I was like, he should have probably accepted her help there.
They were all on the same side against Azula, and that in that moment,
Right, but they're not at all allies.
that's true.
And
in that moment, yeah. But she was offering aid, so I think
yeah,
he should have let her help.
but of course, like, he turned out to be okay, so it's kind of whatever.
Yeah, get shot by lightning in the heart, no problem. It looked like it was the shoulder. It could have been the shoulder, but the way they shot that
It's
easily
still
could have
lightning.
been the heart. Yeah, that too. Don't get hit by lightning, kids. All right. Any more reactions?
I guess I've kind of already mentioned this, but it is kind of running throughout the series. Like, I know that, like, the main three, now main four, have that plot armor where they're probably going to survive the whole show.
I mean, it is a kid's
But
show.
with the minor characters, I'm still not sure. We had Jet die. I still am not sure whether Suki and her group are dead or
Let's hope
not.
they pulled through.
Yeah, well, it never cleared that up for us, and I am wondering, like, how far is this willing to go? Because, we've had a couple deaths so far. We had Zhao last season, but of course he's a villain, and kids' movies have some incredibly traumatic deaths for villains.
If there's no blood, it's good for kids.
Have you ever seen, like, that supercut where they show, like, every Disney villain death, and it's like insane how often they're just falling off of, like, broken cliffs
Nope.
or whatever, so that, like, the heroes don't kill them but they still die.
Nope. But that sounds horrific, and it sounds just like the way Kyoshi let that one small dude die when he fell into the water.
I'm not
Avatar
remembering
Day.
that, but okay. Like, I am wondering who can die and, like, how traumatic it can be.
I mean, if Zula was a willing killer uncle, like, you don't think she's gonna spare some warriors she don't know or care for?
No, I'm wondering if there's any way they could have survived that, and, Azula ended up winning that fight still. Because she wasn't, like, running away from them, she was fighting to kill. Same with Iroh. It didn't seem like she was holding back there. Maybe, I don't know. And of course, like we're saying, it's a kid show. I'm not expecting a lot of death, but people are fighting each other. A couple characters have died, so it is
And there's a war going on.
a tension that's in there. Yeah, and there's a war going on. So there's a tension in all of it of, like, maybe these minor characters might be able to die in this episode, including Iroh. I still am not convinced that he's making it out of the series alive.
There was one question I just had, like, how did she bend the lightning without doing, every time they did the lightning, they had to do the charge up motion before. Like, it takes like 3 seconds and they're like waving their arms like they're trying to hypnotize somebody and then shoot it. She shot it immediately like it was a damn gunshot into his shoulder. And how?
Well, was it necessarily lightning, or because she has the hotter blue
No,
fire?
that was lightning. That was lightning. That shot through him.
So maybe that's a little bit of a logical. For the first little bit of her showing up, I wasn't sure whether what she was bending was lightning or just blue fire.
No.
And I think it's a mix throughout.
No, yeah, well, depending on like the fight, she can switch, but most of the time it's gonna be the blue fire. And the sound effects are also different.
Okay, I'll try to be more aware of that for season 3. It took a little while with this one.
That's not your fault. They're pretty similar in color, light blue. So, if that's it for the reactions, the initial reactions, let's get on to the topics. I wrote a lot more for the topics of this season. I didn't expect to, but betrayal. Aang, initially in the first episode of this season, the Avatar state, he got betrayed by that general. Like, they trusted him. They were like, hey, I can help you beat the Fire Nation. Well, that's not the initial thing they were like talking about, but Aang comes to that decision and is like, okay, I can help you beat the Fire Nation. He's like, good. Now I'm gonna kill your girlfriend. Like, bro, what? That was so messed up. He was so insane about it and laughing when Aang first got in the Avatar state. And then he had that oh shit moment where he was like, oh no, wait, he's mad at me. I did this. I mean, yeah, I caused it on purpose, but I don't know what I really did. That was the face he made as soon as he realized, like, I effed up.
I was wondering in that one too, when he was like trying to bring out the Avatar state, I was wondering, is he going to risk killing Aang to get this to happen?
He almost killed Katara.
Yeah, I did like, just on the note of that episode, having the Avatar state reveal that if he dies in the Avatar state, he dies permanently. Like, that is important stakes to have.
Yep.
And I'm wondering whether the show can do anything with that, because doesn't this... We'll save that for later, actually. Never mind. Keep going with this topic.
Oh, Zuko getting betrayed by a Zulu. When she's first introduced and she's like, brother, uncle, come join me on my ship. And then that one subordinate under her effed up. He was like, okay, everybody, you heard the lady. We're taking the prisoners. Oh, my God. Oh, what did I just say? He's like, princess. And then she just kicked his ass off the ship. That was hilarious. Yeah, they were both, and we'll get into parallels in the next topic, but both of them getting betrayed in the first episode. And then there's more examples. Zuko's betrayal of his uncle at the end. Obviously, that's the biggest betrayal of all so far in this season, as far as what's happening. And then, there's that thing of the parallel. The season both begins and ends with betrayal. In the episode Zuko Alone, that one Earth family that he's kind of helping feels betrayed that Zuko was a part of the Fire Nation the entire time, the same nation that sent the eldest son to die. That was so, like, there's so much they talk about that doesn't happen on camera that is really effed up if you think about it. Like, the fact that they take the prisoners of war and put them on the front line dressed as Fire Nation people and send them against their own people unarmed. Like, how screwed up is that?
I forgot about that, but yeah, I think I may have noticed that when it came up too. I was like, wow, that's... And that's kind of what I was, a little bit like what I was saying before, like, it's hardcore. They didn't seem to be thinking like, oh, is this too much? It's like, no, this is Fire Nation oppression.
Plus, that was a different time, too. Like, as far as kids shows now go, it's just all colors and stupidity. But back then, they actually thought we could think, which we could.
I mean, I don't have a whole lot of context for that, but I mean, it's still post 9/11, which is... I don't know how that changed kids' movies, but I know there was a big change in, like, the tone of action movies at that time. Like, if you compare some similar things from before and after, like, some of the, like, especially with something like James Bond, like the Pierce Brosnan Bond versus the Daniel Craig ones, which 9/11 doesn't actually split those, but I think in terms of like production, it does. And you can see a big tone difference and like change in the way that like the villains are in that. And, you know, that's a little bit beside the point, but even so, like this came out in 2005. I feel like for some people, an oppressive fascist regime is gonna not necessarily hit home,
I get it.
but you know it's gonna strike some
I was
chords.
wondering where you
maybe.
were going with that. I was still lost until you just said that part. But yeah.
Yeah, to return to the theme of betrayal with Zuko, I wasn't thinking of this watching the show, but now that you've mentioned it, like I guess betrayal is kind of central to Zuko as a character because he either has to do what he does at the end of this season and betray Iroh, but by doing the right thing, he's still betraying the Fire Nation and his family by doing that. So no matter what he does, he's betraying somebody.
Yeah, Iroh's kind of already made up his mind. He been done with the Fire Nation since he lost his son.
It seems that way, yeah.
And he's like, oh, my son dead? Oh, Fire Nation, you killed my son. Even though he's the one that, was a warmonger. So, sure. Appa is pretty much betrayed by everyone until he meets Suki. Except that one kid that kind of reminded him of Aang. Like, pretty much everybody treats Appa badly. He's like, okay, I don't know. Well, it's not even really betrayal. He's just kind of treated badly. And Appa's Lost Days, that episode, bro, that's still hard to watch. Like,
I liked that they had it. That wasn't one of my more favorite ones, but sure. It does hit.
It's hard for me to get through the middle of the season with Appa being separated for the group still, because it does not feel like the group is complete without the homie in it. And it's like,
oh, it absolutely doesn't.
And then Katara feels betrayed by Jet when he returns. She's like, what are you doing back? I'm not talking to you, pretty much. Well, she was betrayed by Jet in the first season when she found out he was trying to kill that village. But, him being back, that just kind of sparks everything up again. And then he dies. And then Long Fang, his whole thing is just betrayal in general. He tries to... First of all, he starts a coup and tries betraying the king, and then he tries to double-cross Azula and betrays her, or tries to, and then fails at it. He doesn't even fight. He just was like, oh, you already know? Oh no. Oh, you beat me in my own game. And then Azula comes back with that quippy one-liner. Oh, don't flatter yourself. You weren't even a player. And I was like, damn, bro. Damn. Yeah, a lot of betrayal in this season.
Quite a bit, but also, not to call out anything that we did recently, but you can do a lot of betrayal and have it make sense.
Oh, the callback.
So
the callback. I got it.
I mean, not to throw any more shade than we already threw.
I got it.
But it's possible.
Yeah.
I'll just say
Even as a kid, I understood this. So, biggest one. Destiny and Parallels. Originally, these were two separate ones. I made Destiny. And then I was like, as I wrote the thing for Destiny, I was like, wait, this kind of goes along with Parallels too. So I'm just combine them. And that's what I did. Control of the Avatar state, like the previous avatars before him, in order to beat the Fire Lord. That's kind of like Destiny. Like, for example, every time you've seen the previous avatars and like he's like, oh god, I'm having a vision, okay, now I'm going to the spirit world with Roku. Or with Kyoshi on the Avatar Day episode, her eyes just flash. Like, she doesn't have the tattoos that glow, but her eyes just flash, and that signifies whenever an avatar is entering the avatar state from the previous life. Her eyes just flash, and then she literally separated her island. Like, that's how it became Kyoshi's island. She separated it from the mainland. How badass of a feat was that? Lava, everything.
That was insane. That's like, we've seen some pretty big bending, but that's plate tectonics.
And then blew bending, the army away with her fans, bro. Like, what?
I know, and now I'm like, that made me wonder, like, can Aang do stuff like that? Like, if that's the ceiling, like, he's still got a long way to go.
Right. He hasn't even... Well, in that one episode, Katara said he didn't. I don't know if he did now, but he hasn't even mastered waterbending still.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, holy crap. I didn't think much of that scene back as a kid, but now that I take feats more seriously and into consideration, because I watch a lot of comparison and versus videos like, will Superman beat One Punch Man? I actually haven't seen a video like that yet, but all sorts of shows.
Is there literally someone named One Punch Man?
You gotta watch the show. So he doesn't want that destiny if it means forgetting Katara, controlling the Avatar state. He doesn't want that if it means forgetting Katara. Obviously, that's what he's talking about. He's like, oh my God, you just said 3 chakras ago I'm supposed to concentrate on love, and now you tell me to forget about her? What you mean, guru? And it seems like he wants to keep running away from his destiny. Like, obviously, the whole point of the beginning of this show was him running away from being the Avatar. And then, now he doesn't even want to control the Avatar state. And it's like, bro, you got destinies to attend to. Like, you got to tackle that. And then the final episode is also called The Crossroads of Destiny. It's kind of hitting the nail on the head. Where Zuko has an important decision to make, deciding his destiny. And now that I'm thinking about it, it makes sense he would have a choice at the end, just like I thought originally I was going to say, now that I'm thinking about it, it doesn't make sense because Zuko wasn't the main character of the season, but he arguably kind of was, because he had a whole lot of changes and stuff he went through, and he even had his own episode, like Zuko alone. And now I'm thinking about it, it makes sense that he would have a choice at the end, just like, so Aang tries to enter the Avatar state, and that's his choice at the end, choosing to forget Katara while she's over there trying to fight off in the Dai Li. And he's like, okay, in order to help her, I have to let her go, kind of thing. And then Zuko, he has his decision before that when he has to choose to help Azula or Aang and Katara. Aang chooses what is the supposed correct path and gets punished for it, while Zuko, well, you don't know what happens with Zuko just yet, so I'm not going to say anything further on it. But it seems he wants...
But at the moment, he's chosen to revert back to his old ways.
Right, he might as well get the
Fire
stupid
Nation.
ponytail back. I never liked that ponytail from season 1. Especially seeing how relaxed his hair looks now. But he seems to want to fulfill his destiny of restoring his honor head on rather than run like Aang, so they're opposites in that way.
So and I don't want you to answer this because of spoilers, but is there something where Zuko is connected to the Avatar? Because that seems like they're maybe hinting at that. That episode where he's trying to learn to bend lightning and Aang is learning earthbending, there seemed like there were kind of some parallels there, and Iroh mentions this is a earthbending technique, or well, I don't know which nation he was pulling from, but Zuko's like, why are you pulling from that? I'm a firebender. I'm not going to be able to do anything with that.
And I never noticed after that he uses that technique in the finale. I never noticed during that episode. You don't see what the technique Iroh teaches him, but then you see in the finale, and I was so happy
Zuko
to see it. I was like,
that,
oh,
Iroh
that's
does?
what. Yeah, I saw what Iroh taught him. He uses fire whips. You've never seen anybody in the series do that up until that point, and he uses fire whips. And I'm like, oh, that's the technique Iroh taught him, because he's using the fire whips like a waterbender would whip their water around.
Yeah.
And he said he used this from studying the water tribes. So I was like, oh, that's what... Oh, I see it. I see y'all. Yeah, so one's running, and the other is... And we'll also talk about that episode in a second, because that episode has my favorite scene in the series up until this point. There might be another one in season 3, I'm not remembering. But that episode has my favorite scene by far. And then both of their decisions, I feel, also fit their elements, with Aang fleeing and, dodging from his destiny, like the wind, and his fighting style. And then Zuko trying to attack it, head on. I said, and burn it in parentheses.
Yeah.
But, he's not trying to destroy it, though, to clear up that metaphor. But, one's kind of fleeing from it like the wind, and he's, dancing around it and dodging and stuff. And then Zuko's just trying to set it on fire. He's trying to set his destiny on fire. But in a loving way, because he wants it. He has a burning desire for it. How about that?
Yeah, fair enough. I hadn't really noticed, I did notice that Aang is kind of more defensive when he uses airbending, and, isn't usually, trying to hurt people with it. He'll like blow them away sometimes when he's upset, but like it is more evasive.
And you also can't really hurt people with air. You ever think about that? Like if you blow air, like it could be a huge pressure you throw at somebody, but without anything for them to make contact with, like say you use air bending in the air, say
And
you're
throw
free
them into a wall.
yeah,
I guess
say you're
so.
free falling with somebody and they air bend at you. That literally does not hurt you. That does not hurt you physically. Unless it's like
I guess
sound pressure or something.
I'm wondering now, like, could he create like a vacuum and suffocate you with that? I don't think Aang would ever do that, so I'm not expecting.
Well, if this is a mature show, I'd love to see that.
Yeah, it just, I don't know. That seems like something that might be in the realm of an airbending capability.
It'd also be hacks as hell.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Every time he just faces, he's like, "Hey, Fire Lord, give me that oxygen, boy," and then that's the end of the show.
Yeah, and I guess he wouldn't, if he could use that. He's not though, because of course, one of the
that also stopped fire bending,
right?
Because fire
comes
needs
from oxygen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess maybe it's at least, if it's possible, it's maybe too hard to do. But to go back to the not symbolism, but like the metaphor you're talking about, it does kind of play into it. And I don't know if he is totally running from his destiny. I agree with your point that like, he is given the choice of, do I embrace the Avatar state or do I hold on to Katara? And initially he's resistant to give her up for the Avatar state. And then, at the end he does kind of go back. But this season, I did kind of feel like he maybe hasn't fully embraced his identity as the Avatar, but there are a lot of things that he was dealing with in season 1 that are just kind of, he's okay with it now. Like, he's kind of gotten past the public opinion. He's stopped feeling ashamed of running away, and he's like, you know what? I did that, and I'm really sorry, but now I am full steam ahead. Like, I'm here. I'm not going to run from anyone. I think that was something that I did really notice in, I think it was the Chase episode, when he first confronts Azula one-on-one. He's like, I'm not running, even though you're maybe more powerful. Like, and season 1 Aang would not have done that. So I think he's maybe not fully embracing his Avatar duties, but he's progressed for sure.
Yeah. We gotta move this along.
Sure.
Anything on parallels in Destiny?
Just one other parallel. There's kind of the fire trio in the main group. I don't know if they're trying to make parallels with it. It does feel like somewhere that, there's similar setup. One is good, one is bad, and
Diplomacy as opposed to manipulation.
I hadn't noticed that, but sure.
Yeah, they're all kind of like together on ideas, and they don't ever like put up a vote or anything because they're all kind of the same mindset.
Yeah, I guess that's true, because it is more like the main 4 kind of do, like, they fight with each other, but that's also because they all see each other as equals, whereas the other 3 are kind of, it's Azula's word goes. I hadn't noticed that, but yeah, that is an important difference.
I just came up with that, Evan. Thinking on my feet like an airbender, bro.
Oh yeah, but otherwise, yeah, I'm interested to see what else they're going to do with these parallels and with the whole thing around Destiny, but for this season, I think we covered it.
All right. World building. That's the last topic I have.
Okay.
Spirit owls. I didn't say anything further than that. That was the thing.
Are you talking about that owl in the library?
Yep.
That thing was so
hella
scary.
creepy as a kid, and he's still creepy now. The dude's voice is unsettling, and they did a great job with that, if that's what they were trying to accomplish. They were trying to accomplish loving. They failed at that. I don't think they was trying to be loving.
That also, when I was thinking about this and preparing for this episode a couple days ago, I realized that the way that owl deals with, like, the characters in that, I had, like, multiple dreams as a kid where it would be like a similar setup where there would be like this big monster thing in a space, and it wouldn't like attack initially, but it'd be like, well, you better not do this, and then I'd do it and it'd be like, ugh, like, and then it'd like chase me and it'd turn into a nightmare. And I realized like that's exactly, like, it's exactly the same as that owl, which is maybe why that owl was so scary for me, because it was like tapping into that thing from I haven't had dreams like that in a while. I'm remembering several that had that same structure as that episode, with like the monster turning from like not harmless but like, not aggressive and then aggression.
Yeah. Also, if Wang Shi Tong, I think that was his name. If he knows 10,000 things, how did he not know that they were there to get information to take down the Fire Nation? Like, was that thing 10,001? Like, did he not know about that because he already knew 10,000 things? Like, he could tell Sokka was lying, but he didn't know, like, and once he found out, he was like, oh, you betrayed me? How dare you? I'm killing this library. Like, bro, you ain't know? Like, you a spirit, all-knowing spirit. Owls represent wiseness. Even though I just watched a video that said owls are actually really dumb because their eyes take up so much damn space in their head, their brains are pretty small.
That does kind of make sense now that it...
Yeah, but, 10,000 things, and that ain't one of them. Like, what do you...
Yeah,
Ow.
that is... It did seem like they convinced him a little bit easily.
Yeah.
And again, like, if this wasn't a kid's show, that would not have flown at all, I don't think.
Was that a pun, Evan?
Oh, no, it was not a pun. I'm sorry. It's I'm hearing that now. That totally unintentional.
Oh, man, I was going to come up with a pun too, but I will get you next time.
Yeah. That was totally not intentional, though. On that note, though, like, I know we had some of them in the last season, but I noticed this time there's so many weird hybrid animals, like those turtle duck things, and
Oh yeah, I just think every fantasy series has some weirdness like that. Like in my series, I'm building a fantasy series too, and in mine I got space whales. What are the whales doing floating in the upper atmosphere of the Earth? I don't know. How did they get there? We don't know. They're kind of just a thing.
space whales.
Space whales, Evan, and there's plenty of pictures of space whales too. You just look up space whales.
I feel like those might have been a thing in Treasure Planet, but I haven't seen that in a while.
Space whales, Evan. Space whales.
Well, but then there was that scene where they had, I think it was the Earth King's bear, and they're like, "It's just a bear," and he's like,
"Oh
yeah, it's just a bear," and they're like,
"Gopher bear,
that's lame."
Skunk bear. And he's like, "This place is weird. A bear? What the hell is a bear?" Yeah. I think there's an anime called Hunter x Hunter that has really weird animal combinations too, and I think that's just a thing for.
Mm-hmm.
Also, sandbenders are a thing. This is for world building still.
Mm-hmm.
Sandbenders are a thing. I just wrote that down. Didn't have anything to say on it. I think you did though.
Well, just is sandbending different than earthbending somehow? Like, I don't understand how like Toph as an earthbender can't bend sand. Like, maybe it's just a different style because it's a different type of earth, but that was a little confusing for me.
I'd assume it's in the same realm because sand comes, well, all of the elements kind of come from the earth, but I would assume it's in the same realm as earthbending. Like, if you compare it to the rest of the elements, like the sand would have to be the closest to earth, but I'm not entirely sure.
Maybe it's a little bit like dialects, where like
Yeah.
you can speak English, but you might not speak Australian English, or like or Irish English, whatever. You might not get like the nuances, but you could, like, easier than learning another language, but it is kind of a different thing. I don't know. Maybe that's a good analogy.
It would have been sweet to see her learn sandbending, but she said the sand was shifty, so she couldn't. Everything was fuzzy. I was like, oh, that kind of makes sense.
It does make sense, yeah.
She can't see with it. Like, it's like fine-grained earth, kind of. Being able to control the avatar state. We didn't know this was possible before this season, I don't think. It was kind of just an emotional thing where the protagonist got a power up from getting to that point where it's like, oh, I gotta protect my friends.
Yeah, but he was like kind of possessed by it up until this point.
But now the guru is like, hey, here's some onion banana juice and you can control the avatar state. So that was the thing. The shady Earth Kingdom capital of Ba Sing Se with the whole secrecy and spy-esque stuff, that was pretty cool world building. it's always cool to see spy stuff done without gadgets or like not in the modern world. Like if it's like a fantasy world, like there are a couple of other series that have an element like that or completely focus on it. Like I keep referring back to anime, but I've been watching a lot of anime recently. Naruto and Hunter x Hunter and etc. Like they have like espionage and all this spy type stuff, but it's like with superpowers and no technology pretty much. Yeah, so it was cool to see like, and they were calling them agents. Like I was like, oh, I feel like I'm watching a spy thriller right now. There's like betrayal and coups and figurehead that's not really in control. Like I didn't like it as a kid, but watching it now and just I have a different just perspective on it just in general. Like for some reason I didn't really enjoy season 2 that much as a kid overall. First of all, the thing with Appa, and then the Dai Li thing got pretty confusing, but as I rewatched it now, I completely understood it.
Yeah, I kind of saw more of like the political allegory with, or not allegory, but like the political elements of the Bossing Say setup. It reminded me more of certain setup in Lord of the Rings, but not, I don't want to say it wasn't as good because neither of them are like amazing, but like the way the Earth King was naive. I also really did not like having the Earth King around. He was
pretty trash.
He's probably my least favorite one-offs, and yeah. But also, like, just the Earth Kingdom seems like it has a lot of infrastructural issues. Like, of course it's not, like, fascist like the Fire Nation, but if the Earth Kingdom was just kind of existing on its own, like, it would still be mad problematic.
Yep. There is no war.
But even, like, without that whole conspiracy setup, which in this current situation is hitting uncomfortably close to home, like, that was the whole setup of that city where, they're hypnotizing people and whatever. Like, it's not outright fascism, but, like, that's... I'm not thinking of...
Hypnotism. That's what it is.
Yeah, but there's I'm trying to think what the I mean it's basically, conformity, or maybe communism. Maybe that's not the exact right term, but that's an authoritarian regime still. Bossing Say is not a good city. It just looks like one. And it's like, it's better than the Fire Nation, so it's like, all right, cool, we'll go here, but I don't want to live in Bossing Say.
Yep, live in Bossing Say, live in the conquered city of Omashu, the fascist Fire Nation, freezing cold everything in the Water Tribes, or the deadness
Deserted.
of the air known, like the Northern Air. Which one was? I think it was the Northern Air Temple, the one with the bombs and they were trying to rebuild and all that stuff.
That
probably
right.
seems like your best. That seems like your best bet.
That does seem like the best bet, yeah. But yeah, the Earth Kingdom is very problematic, it seems.
Yeah, I would have been fine living with Boomy and Omashu before it was conquered. That would have been okay.
Yeah, that seemed alright.
Do you have any sort of other topics?
Just one thing before we get into the characters, and we've talked about this a bit throughout, but I really appreciated the action and bending in this. And, again, it's really good action, but also it does a really good job of being character specific. Like we were saying before with, Aang is more defensive and kind of evasive, and that fits with him running away. Also, I really like that he is still favoring airbending over using earthbending even after he's mastered it. He seems a little more in favor of earthbending than waterbending, though.
Yeah, we haven't seen him use much of that since book 1.
And even then, he really favors airbending.
Makes sense. That's another thing that's connecting him to his past. He is the last airbender.
Mm-hmm.
Name of the show. I mean, Appa might be an airbender though.
Yeah, but of course it's not the same for him.
Yeah.
But I still like that as a character choice, that, he's learning these new things, but it's still, he's not necessarily comfortable using them yet, or it's at least not his go-to, that's good intentional writing there, I think. Also, like, the characters all kind of have different fighting styles and the types of bending too. Like, especially we see in the first episode with Toph, where she's fighting all these really powerful earthbenders, and they all are like so aggressive, and she's more patient and letting them make mistakes that she can trap them in.
I saw this like growing up. There was like a snippet, like one of those in between show things, but it was still like about the show. They said that each element is based off of a different martial art, like from the real world. So the way they're like moving and flowing before they start actually bending, like with the lightning and all that, and the earth bending, those are all earth bending is one form of martial art. Fire bending is a different form of martial art.
I don't know those fighting styles, but I can kind of see a little bit of,
Yeah, I don't remember
the movements
by
are
name.
different, and the style seems different, and also there's the different philosophies behind each one. And I think I said this with season 1, but I still really appreciate that they're taking the time to talk about the philosophies of each one, where like lightning bending requires a certain level of like confidence and inner peace, but it's also really volatile. And then earthbending, in that episode where Aang is learning it, Toph is like, it's kind of a great storytelling technique to make it like you have to overcome this emotional thing to be able to master this physical thing. And how he has to, it's about standing your ground and being patient. And like in that episode or whatever, I don't remember the exact situation, but Aang earthbends when he is put in a perfect situation to stand his ground. And I really appreciate that they're doing that. I think it's something that might be tempting to start with when you're creating like a fantasy thing. I don't have a ton of experience with this, but I think it's a good thing to do. It may not be the best starting point, but if you can do that, like, I really hope more shows do stuff like that.
Like giving identity to
each of the elements, yeah. Like, I think that's like a really cool world building thing. Also, while we're on bending, I still identify as a waterbender. I'm standing by that. I don't know if they're as good, but I think I vibe with waterbenders more than the other ones.
I'm gonna set your water on fire, Evan. I'm gonna set the water on fire.
I mean, go ahead and try.
Or I'm gonna shoot lightning through the water.
Oh yeah, that would be pretty bad.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna try with that.
If you try to turn it into ice, then I'll just melt it, Evan. What's good, Evan? 1v1 me, Evan.
I stand by it. I'll still be a waterbender.
Moving on to characters, Aang. Aang is the Avatar boy. He tries to admit his love to Katara a few times, but fails. That happened a few times. I was like, bro, just say it. Like, why are you taking so long? He's like, Katara is like this thing I need to tell you, but I'm not sure I really want to tell you.
Yeah, it's kind of that classic thing where I don't know if you saw Frozen 2 this past year.
No,
they did that
don't
exact
say
same
nothing.
thing.
Don't say nothing, Evan. I still haven't seen it.
I don't know why you're concerned about getting it spoiled, but whatever.
Listen, Frozen is the Avatar of modern. No, I'm kidding.
I think they're just prolonging that because they can, and they feel like they have to. But yeah.
So he eventually gets rejected because Katara only sees him like a brother. So he also died when he got struck by lightning, and I think I just realized that watching it now. It's like, with the way everybody's reacting, he was dead because everybody was reacting the same way when Jet died. So Aang was dead for a good few minutes before Katara brought him back with that magic water. So that's pretty effed up for a kid's show. Like, they killed the main character for a few minutes.
That he died, but
he got zapped, bro.
It does make sense, yeah.
Through the chest and foot, well, the back, through the foot and out the back or something. So technically, two characters died in the finale, both Jet and Aang, technically speaking. Iroh almost died halfway through the season, and oh my god. They tried to just kill people. The network was probably like, yo, this is a kid show. You can't just kill it. No. Mm-hmm. But still, holy crap, he was dead. All right, that's all I had on Aang.
Yeah, I didn't. We had more with him. I've already said actually a lot of the stuff that I was planning to say on him.
Oh yeah, the parallel stuff and the Destiny. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's kind of developed a bit as like he's kind of embracing being the Avatar. He's having to deal with some stuff that entails like, is he going to have to sacrifice Katara? Is he going to have to sacrifice someone at least? And I've been wondering, like, again, how far is the show willing to take it? Like, are they going to make him really lose something important to him? It seems like what they're trying to do is like they're not afraid to rough him up and put him in tough
And
situations.
Kill him.
Yeah,
Literally
and
kill him.
But
Evan, they killed him.
yeah, but even before that, they have him lose Appa, and we talked already about how big of a deal that is for him. But like, it does seem like maybe it's hesitating to like have any like major lasting emotional scars for him. So I'm wondering how far they're going to take it.
I mean, now he has a physical scar.
Yeah, so I mean, apparently it's pretty far, but I'm wondering like how close of a person, because like, we saw how he reacted to Appa. That of course is rough, but if they're going to like, are they going to kill someone close to him? And how close
Like Appa,
is a
imagine they
question.
killed Appa, bro.
Yeah, I don't expect it to happen, but it seems like they're not going to be afraid to do that. He's already lost a lot of people too. Also, slightly off topic, but what happened with his parents? Did
I
I
don't
miss
know.
something
I
season one?
don't know. You did not. I don't know. They.
Okay.
That's just every. Like, this is really heavily based off of. I think it's heavily based off of Shonen. And there's like training arcs and, really dark backstory and, a rival of some sort. And they have all this stuff. And no parents is one of the things they also follow. I have no idea where his parents are. In other shonen type shows, like, well, I've said Naruto and Hunter x Hunter. Well, Hunter x Hunter, the whole thing is about his father. Don't know what happened to his mom. But there's at least one parent or both parents missing. They don't even mention Aang having parents. Like, all they talk about is Monk Gyatso, and I don't think that was his dad. He always refers to him as his friend, so
Yeah.
I have no clue.
I wasn't expecting there to be that much of an answer there. I just wanted to make sure I hadn't missed anything with it. Yeah, pretty classic thing to have no parents for
Harry Potter.
and literally like everyone else. Like if you're a parent in a fantasy story, like look out. You're either dead,
Yep.
captured, useless, or like abusive.
Yep.
It's never good.
It's never
Yeah.
a good parent.
Anyway,
Let's move on to Katara. If you
Yeah.
don't have anything else for Aang.
yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
Well, one last thing for Aang, just real quick.
Yeah.
I did like that they had the bit with him balancing his chakras. I thought that was a good scene.
Oh, with the guru. Yeah.
Yeah, but let's move on to Katara too.
I said she doesn't grow a crazy lot as a character in this season. Mainly accepting Toph as one of the group. Like, that takes a couple of episodes. Like, in the chase, they're like butting heads, but by the time they get to their solo story in the Tales of Ba Sing Se, great episode, by the way. I used to hate watching that one as a kid, but
You
watching
liked
that now, yeah, the Tales of Ba Sing Se episodes,
That
the
honestly
short
was my
stories?
least favorite. I
The short
like
stories, Evan.
I like the concept. I still kind of felt like it was a little bit of a lame episode. I wasn't really here for it.
What? They told such good stories within like 5 minutes each. What?
No, I'm
Evan.
not trying to discount. Like I like the idea. It is hard to do something like that. Just take a little scene like that. I appreciate the craft that went into it. I didn't honestly enjoy it very much at all. I give it a pass. It was filler and it was a creative way to do filler, but I was not really here for it.
Evan. It connected to Appa, Evan.
It
The
did.
Momo short story connected to finding Appa, Evan.
It did. I won't hate on it, but if I'm being honest, that was my least favorite episode. I won't argue with you liking it. I see that. I just didn't feel the same.
I don't know if I could continue the episode now, Evan. I'm so hurt. I'm gonna continue anyway, though. Yeah, I said Katara doesn't go a crazy lot. Like, I tried to think back. Like, I wrote my script like a day after I finished it, and I tried to think back. I don't remember her doing much. I saw that you wrote, she stepped up with the desert thing, but other than that, I don't remember her doing much really. Like she was just, doing her guitar thing, like quipping sometimes like her brother, and being a waterbending badass pretty much. But other than that, it was like she didn't have much character or anything besides the thing with Jet. And once Jet returned, she was like, "Huh, Jet's back," and then she got thrown in jail. And it was like, "Oh, okay, cool."
Yeah, like she, not that she didn't have anything to do this season, but I did feel like there was less for her this season than in season 1, which is okay. Like I think that makes more sense because her big decision in this show really is deciding to join Aang and stick with him throughout his whole everything. And that's a big decision, and they, take their time with it in season 1, but at this point it is kind of just her continued support. That's kind of her whole deal. But I did like the couple things. They were a little more subtle, but I liked that she kind of took a leadership role in the group. Like we said, it is more like democratic. They don't have like a selected leader. They all their voices get heard. But I felt like if there's a leader, it's her. Like especially in the desert when everyone else is like overheated and Sokka's tripping on cactus juice and Aang's upset over
Toph literally can't see anymore.
Yeah, like who else is going to step up? And she really does step it up.
It's crazy because she was also out of her element.
Yeah, that's true.
There's no water.
And also like she really stepped it up as a waterbender this season. Like I
don't know where that came from though. Like, I mean, I guess she's been training off screen or something. Like I know she was pretty good at the end of season 1, but then she just like. She got the octopus thing now and the tentacles and bringing people back from the dead.
I was good with that. I think it makes sense that she would train with it every day, even when they're traveling. And we see enough of her and Aang like practicing with it that I think it's not too much to say like I buy that. And yeah, like at the end, like she almost beats Azula in that last scene. Like she's a really good waterbender, and I feel like there's not like they never like call that out, but you know the proof's in the pudding there. Like she really stepped it up there. I thought. I still am wondering like what is her major role in the series, like when things start to get more like high stakes in season 3, what is her role in that gonna be? I don't know. I'm just like I know there probably is something that she's going to have to, like some part she's going to have to play with it, and I'm wondering what that is.
If you don't have anything more for Katara?
Yep.
Sokka, still being Sokka, bro. Still funny. That cactus juice scene was probably his highlight of this season. He was gone, bro. He was, oh, man.
That was pretty far even for a kid's show, I thought.
He was so high, bro. He was...
Also, they gave Aang, like, cocaine in the first episode.
Was that basically cocaine? I thought that was, like, sugar. Didn't he say it was tea? He said it was tea.
I don't know. It seemed a little like cocaine. But, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, my Sokka, that was... Oh, man. He said the mushroom was friendly, bro. And then the first part where he first drank it, he was like, drink cactus juice. Nothing's quenchier, it's the quenchiest. He was doing it like it was a commercial, and I was like, yo, this man's is on a different plane of existence right now. Oh my god. It was still best part of it's hilarious. I still found that funny even now. And then the stuff with his dad being proud of him and accepting him as a warrior when he went back, when all of them got the letters and Katara told him to go back to their dad first. Yeah, I felt that was kind of a personal connection I felt with Sokka there with his dad being proud of him and stuff.
I liked that moment.
Yeah,
that was good.
I like those moments. And then what'd you think about Sokka and Suki?
Well, I'm still wondering whether Suki's alive.
Well, when
so
they had
there's that. But I didn't think it was like out of left field. You know, they had their one episode together in season 1, and I wasn't expecting her to come back. I was not expecting any of the one-offs to come back, and now Now I'm kind of tuned into like if they're a good one-off, they might actually come back because all like the better one-offs turned
Hmm.
out to not be. I'm here for it. Like I don't ship them hard, but if that ends up continuing, like I'm good with it. I thought they gave it a again, not to call anything out, but they dedicated a few good scenes to those two. So
Yep.
they
You
did a good job
remember
with that.
remember when Sokka was about to kiss her and then he like backed away and the moon was in the background? Did you notice that, Evan? The moon was in the background of
Oh,
that
I
shot.
didn't notice that, but yes, I see what you're saying there. Great
I
symbolism.
was
I did
like,
not pick up on that.
oh, don't do that to you, Wade, bro. Let me ask you this. Would you rather Sokka and Ty Lee? Because she's been hitting on him pretty hard since she saw him in this season.
Um, I'm wondering if they're going to do more with that. I kind of feel like it doesn't have enough time to do that. That would be a little bit too hard of a turn.
Mm,
Just because she's Fire Nation, I don't think Sokka would go for that.
mm,
Because he's too aggressively anti-Fire Nation, and for
mm-hmm.
good reason. Like, I don't think he's going to turn on a dime like that. And especially because, like, Ty Lee is, she's, like, bubbly and not
Sarcastic.
fascist. Like, I mean, not that she's not a fascist, but she's not, like, she's not a stormtrooper or whatever. But even so, she's aligned with the enemy wholeheartedly.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah. So anything else on Sokka?
I still agree with your point from our last episode that I agree he's good to kind of ground the series. He still felt a little bit more like dead weight this season.
Ye-
Also, like again, I like the moment where he reunites with his father, but why did we need that this season? I don't think it was bad. It just felt like for what that ended up coming to in that exact episode, I wonder if that should have just waited for season 3.
mm,
Not a huge issue, just maybe it would have helped feel like that separation more. I like they're bringing him back
mm,
because, it's good that he's showing up because of course like he's still alive and it would kind of make sense to bring him back. So that was good. Yeah, aside from that, I still find him a little annoying, but again, like it's good that they don't just play him for comedy
yeah.
because if they just played him for comedy, I would not be here for it.
And then there's like one of my favorite lines of the season. I think it was a Blind Bandit episode where Katara was intimidating the two dudes. And they told them about the flying boar seal of the Beifong family. And she was like, hey, I got my eye on you. And then she walked away. And then Sokka followed her out. And he was like, water drive. And then... All right, if nothing else for Sokka, let's move
Yeah.
on to the biggest boy of the season, Zuko. I wish he would have done something more with Jin. They were kind of adorable together.
The one from Tales of Bossing Say that he went out with.
Yeah, yeah, that's why I also like that episode, Evan. So forget you, bro.
That was a good short that they did. I also was wondering if they were going to continue that. I'll concede to that.
I also wrote Betrayal Boy. It pains me now to even see it at the end. Like, he saw the decision right there in front of him, and he still went down the wrong path, siding with your psychopathic sister over a kid trying to obtain world peace doesn't seem like the smartest damn decision in the world now, does it?
I still sympathize with it. Like
Nope.
in it, I mean, not that it's a good thing that he did
Stop
it, but
that.
I get why. He does have a family tie. He grew up with that, and like again, he has to betray someone. And also, I wonder if he doesn't really know who he is outside of searching for the Avatar. That seems to be something that they're maybe trying to do with his character. And in that betrayal scene, like I thought he was going to turn against the Fire Nation. I really thought this was when he was going to turn it around. I still think
Nope.
he will by the end, but I was surprised that he didn't.
And then he also had that really weird thing. I'm kind of going backwards here. He had that really weird thing where he came out of that sickness and was all happy.
Yes, that was
I
weird.
I never thought of it much as a kid, but now it comes off as like so unlike him. Maybe that was like the point, but I mean, I understand he went through a change. Man's had a completely like a complete personality rework. Like, it was so weird. So weird. It's like, Uncle, I'm so happy to see you. And it's like, yo, relax, Scarboy. Like, what? Why are you so damn happy right now? You've been angsty this whole damn show, and now you just...
I was wondering whether... I was like, am I here for, like, not angsty Zuko? Because, like...
He seems happy, but, like, that ain't him, bro.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any real reason for that. His healing process with that was kind of cool, where Iroh was like, you just did something very uncharacteristic. Your body is, like, adjusting to that. I don't know if I totally buy that in a physical sense.
As a different person.
Yeah, and he came out as a different person, but then reverts right back. So, yeah. And in that sense, it's still a good twist. So even if that's all that weird, happy Zuko was building up to, I think that's enough. But
like maybe they purposely made it so weird, so it was like a sharp turn and then another sharp turn at the end. Yeah, I kind of agree with that.
For this season, he did seem like his whole development seemed a little meandering. Like, I was wondering, like, are they doing all this stuff with him to, like, show him Fire Nation oppression? Because it kind of seemed like they were doing that at the beginning, and like the first half of the season. And then I was wondering, like, is it that he's now gonna have to go on the run and fight Azula more? And that sort of happened, but then he's on her side at the end. Also, I was wondering, like, if it's testing Zuko outside of hunting Aang. Like, is that a thing he is capable of? So there's a lot that happened with him. I'm hoping that they do more with it and bring it to completion in season 3. But for this one, it did feel like they just kind of... There were elements that were added and developed, but it didn't all tie together yet. And I'm hoping that it will in season 3.
So now we come to... We're still under Zuko, but now we come to my favorite scene of the season. That scene where he was staring up at the clouds in the rain, screaming at the sky, where he said, "You've never held back before. Now I can take it, and now I can give it back. Strike me." I don't think that's exactly what he said. I'm paraphrasing. But I never understood that scene as a kid, but I'm imagining now that he's yelling at a higher power, and that scene, that shit was just powerful, bro. Like, I never thought anything of that scene as a child, but the fact that he's, like, yelling at quote-unquote God and saying, like, God has kind of, like, been screwing him over pretty much his entire life, and now he's saying he can give it back. Like, bro, come on, man. Shit was poetic.
His angst is, I don't want to say it's, like, fun, but I'm so here for it. Like,
yeah.
He's not the only, like, super angsty kind of character, but he's a good version of it. Like, I vibed with that. Not that specific scene necessarily, but like I don't necessarily identify with Zuko now, but like 17-year-old me has had some Zuko vibes. Not as extreme, but like equally angsty. So I vibed with that a bit in retrospect.
Angsty Evan. All right, we gotta truck along here to Iroh. By far the most supportive character. I don't think I've ever seen an animated character as supportive as this dude, bro. Supportive of Zuko no matter what. How many times did Zuko leave him behind and then Zuko came back and he was like, all right, welcome back. Bro, Iroh is pretty much like the supportive character GOAT. I don't know if Iroh is anybody's favorite character. There probably is a couple people out there that like Iroh is their favorite character, but like, bro, Iroh is at least top 5 best characters of the show. His Tales from Ba Sing Se story almost made me tear up, but as a kid, I used to laugh at the voice acting. It sounds effed up, but as a kid, it didn't really sound like he was crying. It kind of sounded like he was laughing. But now watching it back and as an adult and, you know, realizing what he's going through and then the stuff that led up to that, like he's teaching people as if he'd teach his son the same way, like, and the fact that, you know, he was being a good fatherly figure to everybody in the city before he went to go mourn his son. It's like, damn, bro. Like, I don't know how you cannot like that. That's your least favorite, Evan. Ah,
I liked that part of it.
Evan hates Uncle Iroh, confirmed. I get it. No, I get it.
No, I
Evan.
love Iroh. He's one of my top also. Like, I got more Davos Seaworth vibes from him this season. I really like his support of Zuko. But I also like their age difference with it. Like,
Mhm.
I think if he were less of a mentor, more of a sidekick, and was like closer in age to Zuko, I would not ship them the same way because
Mhm.
it's just such a different dynamic. Like, if Zuko and Iroh were the same age, I know, of course, there's like family things in there that would prevent that. Won't get into that. But like, say like you switch out Iroh for like a sidekick for Zuko, there's a totally different dynamic and a much more like destructive relationship.
Yeah.
Whereas with Iroh being an elder to him, like, I'm really here for his support of him because, he is kind of like vicariously parenting him and being like, he's lost a son and now he kind of has not a adopted son exactly, but sort of.
Pseudo son.
Yeah, and he's really invested in Zuko, and yeah, I really feel for him in how he is trying to mentor Zuko well. Like, in one of the later episodes, he's finally like really putting his foot down and saying like, "This is enough. Like, I've
Oh yeah.
indulged you trying to find yourself through finding the Avatar or whatever, but like you need to be past that now."
Who are you and what do you want? Speech. And
Yes,
yeah.
and the fact that he's usually so calm and more unquestioningly supportive, that scene is powerful because it's finally like he's putting his foot down with it.
Mm-hmm.
I liked that they did that
Yep. And
because
then
he's
his
not just
ass.
unconditionally supportive. He's like, I'm here for you, but I'm also not gonna let you just do whatever.
Yeah. And then his ass got betrayed anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I was
Yeah,
really hoping for that tee shot, bro, but he got betrayed
I
by
know.
that
Weirdly, I was
happy
hoping for
Zuko.
it too.
That tea shop and bot that tea shop was gonna take off, and now he's been arrested. And I know he's obviously deeply hurt by Zuko's betrayal, but that tea shop though, man, I
He
wanted to
does
taste
deserve
that
his
tea.
tea shop.
I wanted to taste the tea, bro.
I'm so surprised that that was not one of my favorites, but like a thing that I liked was like him becoming famous for his tea. I was like, yeah, go, like,
It's pretty funny.
keep going.
He heated up with his fire bend. Yo, that scene
Mm-hmm.
where he
That
was
was a
like,
good scene.
let me tell you why they call me Dragon of the West," and like Azula's like, shut up, Uncle," and he's just like, all right, he starts breathing fire, bro. Come
Yeah,
on, man.
that was so cool.
Come
And
on.
like he had some really cool bending moments this season.
Yep, he soloed both Azula and Zuko. He was like, if you kids don't sit your asses down when he told Katara to get away, bro, come on, bro.
Yeah,
Iroh
he's
is
great.
he's fire character, bro. No pun intended.
Mm-hmm.
And then the thing with Zhao, when he was shouting at Zhao in season 1, come on, bro. Iroh, I never thought this highly of him as a kid. I said before, but now, come on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's one of the
can't,
best.
Yeah, you can't deny it. All right, best character of season 2, Toph. Oh, if you don't have, did you have anything else on Iroh?
No, let's get into Toph by all means.
Okay, wow.
I've been waiting the whole time for us to get into Toph.
All right, so couple things. Evan's probably going to touch on more things. She invented a new bending style. Like, this world has been around for, I'm guessing, a couple hundred to thousands of years, right? And she just, out of the blue, because desperate times call for desperate measures, invented a new bending style. Like, the elements have been around for I don't know how long in this world, and she's just like, you know what? Let's add metal bending to the earth bending repertoire. You had the first, the normal 4, you had lightning, and then you also had sand. Those were the 6.
You could kind of throw ice in there too, I think.
I think water goes along with ice, but sure, ice bending.
It's a little bit of a derivative.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, metal is.
And then she was just like, you know what? Let me be 12 years old. Let me also be blind. And let me just invent this new bending style real quick to get out of this cell Like, bro, what?
Yeah, I think I didn't see that coming exactly. Although I had wondered, like,
That's blindest, Devin.
yeah,
You didn't. Yeah,
God,
yeah.
I swear I didn't intend for that.
You keep doing it though. You
I know
keep doing it.
I keep doing these accidental puns. I swear they're not planned. But I did wonder at a few points, why is metal bending not a thing? Because metal and earth are at least pretty similar to each other. But
Yep.
they've had it up until this point. I bought it. Like, there's no one can bend metal, so I guess that's a way to trap people. And we'd had that established many times. Like, Boomy couldn't get out of that cage, and he's easily the most powerful earthbender that we'd seen aside from Toph.
Yo,
So
he said they didn't cover my head, and then proceeded to shoot himself back up to the top of the kingdom. Like, what?
yeah,
Bro.
So if he can't get out of it, like, it's safe to assume no one can. And of course, I knew at some point Toph was going to get out of there. I didn't know if it was going to be her that did that. I wondered if maybe someone else would save her. I was not prepared for that, but I was so happy that that happened. I was like, yes, Toph was already awesome, but now she's like even more awesome.
Yep.
That she can do that. Like, that was awesome.
Kicks a multitude of people's asses over the entire since she got introduced. Like in her intro episode, she was just kicking grown men ass, bro. She was the champion of the underground earth fighting wrestling thing.
Yeah.
And the boulder is supposed to be like a parody of The Rock.
I was wondering if it was WWE. Like, I got a lot. I'm not into that, but I got strong WWE vibes from that.
Yeah, the boulder and The Rock. Get it? Yeah. Yeah, she two moves. She made him do a split and then chopped his ass out the arena with earth. And, bro, come on.
Yeah, that episode, that whole time, like, after her fight scene and when they kept dealing with her, I was like, please do not let this be a one-off. I really want her to stick around.
It was way too strong of an impact. Way too strong. The writers were originally like, this should be a one-off character, and then Toph was like, nah, you're not gonna do that to me. Toph stopped the writers from making her one-off. Evan, she couldn't. She's a fictional character.
Well, no, I'm asking if that's like, was that their actual process, or are you just like speculating?
No, I'm just saying that's how great of a character she is. I'm saying she probably could have done that, broken out of the two-dimensional fictional world and jumped into the 3D world. Like, yeah, you're gonna make me a main character.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I mean, aside from her just being like so badass, like I think she adds a good dynamic to the group. Also, like, she seemed like the way they dealt with her was like pretty good blind representation. They acknowledge it comes up, and like the other characters slip up a couple times and like say something a little insensitive, but like they do kind of like deal with that in a good way of like, showing a character with a disability, I thought. And I don't necessarily have like a ton of like expertise on this, but I took this class last quarter where we were like writing plays for like kids in the hospital for it's, I don't know if you ever heard of it at Drexel. It's called Story Medicine. But something that they talked about in that class was like, if you can make like a character with a disability and turn that into their power, like that's a thing to try to do. And that's exactly what Toph is here. Because like being blind makes her a better earthbender. So
yeah, she kind of has like a spider sense because of it.
Yeah, so that was cool. And also like the way that just the whole thing with her seeing with earthbending was cool. And that it informed her character decisions. Like, I'm not going to go in the library so I can, stay out here where I'm more aware. And then in the drill episode, I like how they dealt with it. I don't know if it was like perfect, but I thought it was much better than other things probably would have done.
Yep.
And like, it didn't define her character, but it enhanced it.
I don't personally know anybody that's blind, but the blind jokes didn't seem to come off as offensive. Like, because it's a fictional show, so the writers were writing it. But the jokes they had with like Katara, when she purposely was an asshole, and she was like, "Oh, the stars are beautiful out tonight. Too bad you can't see them, Toph." And I was like, "Ah, damn."
But
And then the thing,
they're definitely doing that in a way that was like calling her out and like,
yeah, there was the one thing where Sokka made the poster, and
oh, and she was like, "Yeah, it's great."
I think it looks great. He was like, "Why do you feel the need to do that, bro?" Or was she in the same episode where she slapped the glue on the poster and slapped it against the wall? She said it's upside down. It was actually backwards, which is worse. Like, oh, I think they handled it just so well as
yeah, because they don't shy
yeah.
away from it, but they're like it's good representation. It's also not her only defining quality.
Right.
So that's like all really good character construction.
Even with being she's also like a tomboy. Like she doesn't like feel the need to wear makeup or anything. She's also like only 12. So
yeah,
the fact that she ran away from home, she comes from a rich family, but she's a tomboy. So like she has a lot of different qualities that just mesh together into one badass awesome character. But we still got to keep moving. Still a couple more things.
I still want more. Like I'm only hoping for more Toph in season 3 though. I know we're gonna get more, but I hope she's in as many episodes as they can put her in.
Yeah. Azula, I wrote down sociopath. She's only 14 years old. Yeah, that's something to take into consideration. Manipulative and smart, obviously. I never understood what made her like this as a person, just in general. Like, what would happen in someone's life that would cause them to be such a cold, conniving being, human, that she is. Like, she is by far, so far, we didn't even know much about the Fire Lord, but she is by far like the most straight up evil character in the series.
I mean, I think it probably boils down to just that she drinks the Kool-Aid. Like, she's into the Fire Nation oppression and everything, and superiority, and like beating the Avatar, and also she can back it up. Like, I think the big difference between her and Zuko, one, Zuko seems more innately compassionate, but there is a major difference where she has like no hesitation, no like, she's not lacking for confidence, and she can bring it as a bender. So that all is like, very like alpha personality. I think it all plays into that. Like, she is kind of the epitome of Fire Nation superiority.
I also saw, she reminds me of something a new DC character by the name of Punchline said. She's like the Joker's like new partner. She's supposed to replace Harley Quinn, but she's not romantically interested in him. But in her origin, Punchline's origin, she says the biggest mistake anyone ever tells anybody is you can be whatever you want. Like, what if some people don't want to be good? And that's kind of what Azula's reminding me of. Like, she has no desire to be a good person whatsoever. Like, she's so content with being evil. And I kind of like seeing characters like that, where it's just like, there's like not really anything that made them the way they are. They're just inherently evil. I have a couple characters I've made like that, but most of the time I try to stay away from those, because I like coming up with origin stories to see what made a character evil or good. But those characters are just, as a kid, they didn't really interest me, but now they kind of do. It's like, why are they so evil? But there's never an answer.
Well, it's kind of that eternal, like, nature versus nurture question. Like, is someone born evil or are they made evil? And
Right.
I think just in general, as humans, we don't know the answer to that yet.
Mm-hmm.
But I think of course, there's plenty of evidence that nurture is part of it. And that's kind of what we see with Zuko. Like, he seems like someone who's capable of, being compassionate and fighting for, like, not his own team, basically. But, he and Azula were brought up together. So the nurture thing is kind of neutral for them. So
Right.
it is a very telling contrast between the two of them,
Mm-hmm.
that there's different gender expectations on them from their upbringing, of course, but even so, they were brought up probably with the same values, both in terms of family and nation. So it's a very specific choice and thematic one to have these two characters have the contrast that they have.
Yep. Both brought up by the same mother, but both turned out vastly different.
Mm-hmm.
Other thoughts on her? Like, she's pretty straightforward character, or it seems that way. But since she's a new character, wanted to know if you what you
Yeah, I
thought of
agree.
her.
She's pretty straightforward, like you said. Not a whole lot of backstory or like justification for her
Mm-hmm.
being the way she is. I am kind of hoping, but not expecting, for her to turn it around and turn against the Fire Nation at the end. I kind of want that. I don't think it would be totally out of left field for that to happen,
Mm-hmm.
but even so, they are giving us no signs of redemption with her. So at the moment, I am kind of thinking she and the Fire Lord are going to be the big villains for the next season.
Mm. Just a quick thing on Appa. I was so happy when he finally found Aang. Season 2, I said before, towards the middle, actually gets hard for me to watch because Appa is away for so long. And then whenever I'm watching the group, I'm like, they're missing somebody, bro. They're missing
Mm-hmm.
somebody very important. Even though Aang is not mentioning it like he was in the desert, it's like, bro, this does not feel complete without. Like, I cannot stop watching until I get to the part where at least Appa's back in the group. Big boy is away for too long. Anything on Ty Lee or Mai?
I like that trio as a whole. Like, they're really formidable. And they all have those different fighting styles. Like, Ty Lee does that, like, I don't know, hitting
Chi
people's pressure
blocking.
point. Yeah, chi blocking, which is like, it feels like such a cheat code every time. It's like, oh, like,
Yeah, just keep her
it's,
away from me and you're good. But she can cartwheel and shit, so
mm-hmm.
good
I
luck.
know, and it is kind of a, refuting Sokka being like, not that he's useless, but he's not anywhere near as like skilled as the other three benders in the group.
Yep.
And then these two come in as also non-benders, and I mean, sorry, but they're so
Tylee's
much better at not being benders
Yeah,
than he
Tylee's
is.
probably the best non-bender we've seen so far.
Hmm. I liked Mai
Uh,
too, like her
she just throws shit
goth.
though.
I know, but I liked her goth attitude. I don't know
Oh,
if
you're one
goth
of
is the right
those.
term for that, but
Uh,
like, I'm here
I
for
get
more
it.
of that.
I get it. But other than that, I don't feel like Maya's as formidable as Ty Lee, of course. But she's also kind of
No.
just throwing daggers. And then, like, when the benders, like, when she was watching over the bear with Ty Lee, and the benders are looking at her, well, Sokka and Toph are looking at her, and she was just like, just take the bear. And I was like, she probably can't fend them off. Like, with Ty Lee trapped, she's not going to be able to do, what's she going to do? Throw daggers at the rock? Like, what's that going to do?
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, of those three, she probably is the least formidable, but even so, I like
You just like her attitude. No, I get it, Evan.
yeah, but also like them as a group was good in
Good
terms of
dynamic.
like, good dynamic, good contrast with the three of them.
Hmm. So next thing, uh, Jet died. That was his thing. Never understood as a kid how that square-shaped pillar killed him. I'm guessing it crushed his chest bones or something, and pierced his organs or something really gruesome that they couldn't show, obviously. But I feel characters have suffered worse over the course of the show. Maybe all of them are benders, though. I wasn't really paying attention every time somebody was injured. And I heard on Anton Bandel's channel, shout out to him. I think he's an avid Avatar fan on YouTube. I watch. He does a lot of versus videos, and he's really into, there's like comics and stuff. And he also watched, I don't know if you heard about the kind of spin-off slash sequel series to this, The Legend of Korra.
Yes, I've heard of
Yeah,
that. I know there's debate about which is better.
yeah. So he's in both of those worlds. His whole channel is kind of about Avatar. He's also a writer. Has a couple books. So shouts out to him. But He said that benders have some form of superhuman strength and durability since they can kind of toss each other around without much injury. Like in that final fight scene, how many times was somebody's back slammed up against the wall, or
Mm-hmm.
Aang jumping from the ceiling down into that crater he made himself and then having to crawl out of it a couple minutes later? It's like, yeah, they probably do
Right. We're
have some
not
form of.
dealing with like normal rules of physics in this world at
Right,
all.
right. And it's not cartoon physics either because they're getting injured. But like Jet dying by that one pillar, like it was kind of small but still square. And I was like, he really died from that? Like there are benders getting tossed around and burned straight up. And this man got killed by a rock. And it's like, well, okay. I didn't really have anything on his actual, like, the subject of his death. I was confused as to like why it wasn't a spike.
Yeah, the logic of it.
Yeah, like it could have been a spike, but that also probably would have left blood, and they probably couldn't show him past his neck if that was the case. And also when I was a kid, the second video game I ever played was Mortal Kombat, so I wouldn't have minded seeing that. But he got killed by a rock. I know it was with a lot of force and all that, but like I said, I think I've seen characters suffer worst. And the fact
Yeah,
that
realistically, I don't think they could, but sure. I wasn't sure about him coming back. At first I was like kind of here for him teaming up with Zuko, but then that didn't really happen because I was like, oh, like Zuko's angst and Jet's anarchist thing, that might be a cool like
angst and
combination.
anarchy. That sounds like a shit
Yeah,
name.
it might already be, or if it's not, like
I know there's
that
Sons of
totally.
Anarchy.
Yeah, angst and anarchy sounds a little bit, that wouldn't draw the same audience, but whatever. I wondered if the two of them were gonna team up, and then that didn't really happen. So like I wasn't sure if they really needed to bring him back. I don't think it was bad, but it didn't quite go anywhere.
I mean, they killed him, so whatever.
They did, and now like I don't know if they're gonna bring back Kim Pine and young Neil there, but
What?
that's what I thought of them as.
Smellerby and Longshot?
Oh, is that their? Oh, right. I don't
Is
know.
that
I
what you're
always
talking
thought
about?
they were like Kim Pine and young Neil from Scott Pilgrim. That was what I thought of them as. I don't really want them to come back, but if they do, whatever. It'll probably be better than the other one shots. But I don't know if it was bad that Jet came back or good. It just it didn't feel like it added a lot. But it didn't detract either, so like kind of okay with it. Yeah, final note on Jet though, like his edgy straw thing, like that really does not work. Like I know they're trying to like
It's
make
Edge, Evan. It adds to the anarchy. He doesn't care
it's
about
but it's straw. Like I know they're
straw,
trying to
Evan.
like they can't have him smoking like a real like anarchist teenager would, but that straw thing so undercuts it. It's like, oh, dude.
Could have been a
Like
toothpick.
yeah, a toothpick would have been a little better, but the straw thing, and he's like, also the way he deals with, he's like, look at my edgy straw here, and it's like, dude, like, just find another gimmick. Like, it so is not working for you.
Also, another thing. Again, shouts out to Antoine Bandel, but he said Jet is a tragic character. Like he loved Jet as a tragic character. He likes tragic characters. So the fact that obviously his family and village burned down from the Fire Nation. He tried to kill the Fire Nation. Then he comes back in season 2 and is like trying to team up with this young dude that's kind of like him, and then finds out they're both firebenders, and then never actually gets he never actually finds out the truth of them being firebenders and dies before he finds that out. It's kind of like poetic, I guess.
Yeah, I guess one thing that he did sort of contribute, because there was the bit that Zuko and Iroh had, and him and his group, they were all going into Bossing Say thinking, maybe we can start over here. And I
None of
don't
them
know
do.
if yeah, and I think there were maybe a couple other, maybe they were just one-off characters that said that too. But there was kind of, if we want to look at that as like a mini theme, it is kind of established like, oh, maybe we can start over. And basically the answer is no, you can't. Like, you either can't, like, they either can't run from their past literally, or they can't go beyond, like, the inner things they still have to work out, which is kind of more the case for Zuko. Like, and I guess for Jet too, it's like they're both saying they want to start over, but in practice they can't do that yet.
Yep.
They aren't willing to. So he does kind of add to that theme, I guess.
Yep. We gotta hurry up and finish here. So, any predictions for season 3?
All right, I'll try to rattle these off quick. Zuko is going to complete his redemption arc by the end. Probably not until the end, but he will. Again, I don't think Azula is going to turn around, but I kind of hope she does. Aang at some point is going to have to choose between saving the world and holding on to Katara. I don't know which one he's going to choose, and I'm wondering, like, if the show is going to come out with basically the idea that he can do both, or like that one is better to choose than the other. I'm curious to see what will happen with that. None of the main 4 are going to die, but I think at least one character, like decently big character, is going to die next season. Maybe it'll be Sokka and Katara's dad. Maybe it'll be Iroh. Maybe it'll be Zuko. Maybe another one-off, like not one-off, but new character will come in and have that happen. I don't know. Somebody is not making it out of the series, though. Also, Aang has a waterbending ally. He has an earthbending ally. So I'm seeing a firebending ally in his future. I'm hoping it's Zuko. Maybe it won't be. I mean, I just feel like they've already done that. Someone kind of has to fill that role, I feel like. The rogue firebender guy from season 1 is definitely coming back.
John.
Yeah, I didn't remember his name, but yeah. Like, he, now looking at these one-offs from this season, he's definitely, like, the people that came back and those that didn't, he's too good of a one-off to not bring him back. And also, he seems like the only person who might be able to teach Aang firebending, unless maybe Iroh does. And I'm here for that if Iroh is his teacher. But I kind of expect that they'll go back to that guy. I think that their attempt to gain an advantage when the eclipse comes, that has to fail.
Why?
Well, because just narratively, I don't feel like they can set up the comet and not have it get to that point. It would feel anticlimactic to have it end at the eclipse.
Oh, without a big fight with the Fire Lord?
Yeah, I feel like it has to get rules of story, or not rules, but, conventions of story. It's got to get as bad as it can get, and the comet is as bad as it can get. So they will do that. And of course, the eclipse comes first, but I don't think that's going to give them the advantage they're hoping. Those are my predictions.
Word. All right. There's nothing else. I never understood the boilerplate thing.
I don't know why that's what it's called either, but that's the term. But yeah,
let's boil this plate.
We'll boil the plate. Next episode, we are doing Spotlight. Also, of course, we're going to round out this show with season 3. That'll be the episode after that. And as of a few hours ago, we have a new logo. By the time you guys hear this, it's probably going to have been up for a few episodes or a few weeks, but I really like how it turned out. Credit to my friend Kelsey Hendry for making that. It looks awesome.
Word.
And also, big thanks to Isabella Akhtarshinas for doing our original logo, which now we can kind of make as a vintage logo. We still have stickers and, credit to both of them. The new logo looks really dope.
Stylish.
Yeah. So, yeah, credit there. Like us on Facebook, subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes. You can follow the show on Twitter at INTAnalysis18. You can follow me on Twitter at Davos Watson. And where can people find you?
Follow me on Twitter at Jelani T. Kelly. Follow me on Instagram at Based Phoenix. And I am on Twitch, getting back into the swing of things, every night from 8 to 9 at J Based Phoenix. That's my channel. We do writing stuff. We talk about topics like Avatar. We do things.
All right. So until next time, yip.
Oh, God, Evan. All right. Bye, guys.